Okay. Good morning to one and all present here. I, Neha Dubey, Assistant Professor of Faculty of Social Work, on behalf of Parur University, on behalf of Dr. Satish Bodala and esteemed faculty and students, I welcome you, madam, here for a webinar, best practices, building best workplace practices. Sorry, ma'am, I'm having a throat issue, so I'm not able to speak properly. So I would apology for the same. So I would give a small and a brief introduction of ma'am. Her name is Krishna Vaidya. Mm, about the founder of Swadhyay Consultancy. Ma'am is taking care of the entire consultancy, Krishna Vaidya ma'am. And if I talk uh, about the organization and the ma'am, so I would first talk about Krishna madam. Krishna Vaidya is an accomplished HR professional with over 18 years of human resource experience working in both Indian and multinational industries in automotive, engineering, energy, manufacturing, and service sector. An institute through a breed professional, she has gained a diverse exposure with HR domain, coaching, organizational strategy, people development, performance management system, compensation, benefit design, training, talent assessment, succession planning, organization culture, strategic employment initiatives specific to engagement experience and retention. During her meritorious career, she has worked with various industries like Philips Electronics India, Seat Limited, RPG Group at leadership positions. Her last employment stint was a country HR head in Flint Group, a renowned European company where she was responsible for both manufacturing and corporate roles. She also has a stellar exposure of working with people globally across diverse culture and HR practices. So, in brief, if I talk about Miss Krishna Vaidya, the founder of Swadhyay Consultancy. She is ICF trained certified coach, NLP practitioner, extended disc administrator, IIT Mumbai certified practitioner in OD and change management, trained in HR and talent management, HR audit, and analytic expert. So this is a small and a brief introduction of Krishna Vedya ma'am. And now I would request Dr. Satish Bodla sir to welcome ma'am. Over to you, sir.
Okay, so very good morning to one and all present here. Respected speaker of the day, Ms. Krishna Vedyaji, esteemed faculty members, and dear participants. Today it's really my privilege to welcome you all in the webinar on building best workplace practices. And I must share with you all that speaker of the day has a very vast experience in the field, and she is not going to talk about the theoretical component about the best practices of workplace, but she has a practical experience also because she was one of the initiators of best practices at workplace. Earlier she was the part of team of Seat Tires, and the company was recognized among the India's best companies to work for 2019 and among India's best workplace in manufacturing sector 2020. As nowadays positive workplace matters a lot and everybody talks a lot, whenever people works, the workplace must attract them and there must be a work life balance. So how to make workplace attractive for all, how to create positive mental health at workplace, I think this particular session is going to help us a lot to understand that particular concept. And since our speaker is well versed with the concept because he is the initiator of best practices, and I believe the whole discussion may be very fruitful for all of us. And even we will be able to know the new practices, new initiatives in the field. With this note, once again, I welcome you all in this webinar. Thank you. Over to you, Neha, ma'am, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. So now I would request Ms. Krishna Vaidya ma'am to please start making the presentation for the webinar.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Neha ma'am. Thank you, Satish sir, for connecting me back to my roots with the students. And I'm feeling that I'm back to my learning session. And good morning, everyone present here, all students. I'm very happy to see the students who have joined here and who might have been, looking after the recording or of this live session later on. So the entire purpose of this session, I would like to share that as an HR professional, what are the key things we supposed to look into, and how the organizations are building best practices across the globe, or as an HR fraternity member, what are we supposed to look into this? So let me just share my presentation. Give me a second. Priyashi, I hope my screen is visible.
Ma'am, yes, it is visible.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I think Neha ma'am is humble enough, and I'm honored to get my introduction. So thank you very much, Neha ma'am. Just to share it, 18 years of HR exposure. I'm MSW from Faculty of Social Work, 2004 pass out. I have worked with CA at Philips Electronics and at a leadership position, of course, and as a country head HR at Flint Group India, which is a renowned European MNC. So with this, I would like to move ahead, and the outline of the webinar, which is going to roll around that. What do we call as the best work practices, and how it is important? See, it is very easy to share that we are building best workplace practices, but how it is important, how it is giving outlines, or putting positive marks in the bottom line at business, how it is fruitful for the employees and creating experiences, and how it is great exposure to HR professional, a fulfilling or enriching kind of experience for them. So the importance of that, how modern era is working in this direction, like how the different kind of best workplace practices surveys are taking it, what are their outliners, what are their criteria, and a very small case study, because we are here for say around an hour or so. And what is an important role of an HR professional in this, because HR is one of the function which is many a times called or recognized as a back-end function. And here, how in through this case study, I think I will be able to do a justice to my own profession and share how we can put that, connect with the business, connect with the organization, and can really make the impact on the bottom line. So that is what I would like to share here. um, I have kept in some 10 minutes for the question and answer session as well. So I would appreciate that if you can put down on a page if you have some questions or some doubt, or even something which you would like to share as an experience, or you get an insight and share at the later stage. So I understand Neha ma'am is going to take care of the same. So you may please jot down, and we would surely, if time permits, would discuss, and I will try to do the justice to the same. So moving ahead to the expectations, I understand you have a right to put your expectations very clearly, that what do you want to understand or know from this webinar. So when you have joined this webinar, or when you have seen the flyer, you must have certain questions about it. So I understand, please put your expectation on a piece of paper, and let's move ahead at this point of time. So, Neha ma'am, I just wanted to understand from the students that what do they call as a best workplace practices. So, would they will be able to answer, or put in a chat box or something like that?
Yeah, sure, madam. Students, whatever you feel like talking about the best practice at workplace, you can pin me in my personal chat and I would raise the question or raise that particular thing to madam and she would reply to us. Yes.
In my suggestion, see, no question is dumb, no answer is wrong. So please be participative, and that's going to have a mutual learning experience for all of us.
I hope many of the students are listening to me as well with ma'am. So Forum, Oshos, Shabir, Bhavin, I can see many of the students have joined with us, the senior students. This webinar is mostly for the senior students. So GOG, Jahanvi, Jay, Kajal, you all can ask questions to me in WhatsApp or you can also text to Vimal sir or any other teacher and they will be messaging to me and then I would be saying to ma'am through this webinar. Yes, Shruti, yes, Valmiki, Shivani. I hope you know the question. It is you can see on the screen what do you call as best workplace practices. So आपके दिमाग में ऐसा कुछ होगा ना कि ऐसा हो तो जन्नत मिल जाए, है ना? काम करने का जगह ऐसा हो तो माय गॉड मतलब रोज वहीं पे रहे, घर ही ना आए, है ना? तो कुछ उस तरह
Absolutely right, ma'am.
का
Thank you very
तो
much for simplifying this. ऐसी जगह जो आपकी ड्रीम जॉब है, चलिए, या ड्रीम वर्क प्लेस है, नॉट द नेम ऑफ द कंपनी, पर इस कंपनी में ये XYZ हो, तो मैं मतलब आंख बंद करके ज्वाइन कर लूंगा या ज्वाइन कर लूंगी, समथिंग लाइक दैट.
यस. सो आई नो कि आप लोग अभी फ्रेशर हो तो आप लोग ये सोचोगे कि पहले तो जॉब मिल जाए, लेकिन फिर भी एक होता है ना कि चलो 2-4 साल के बाद तो फिर ये ऐसा तो चाहिए ही चाहिए, ये सब फैसिलिटीज चाहिए, लोग एम्प्लॉयज आसपास के ऐसे होने चाहिए, वैसे होने चाहिए, कुछ तो सपने आते होंगे ना. या आई एम स्टिल वेटिंग.
No worries, if we can wait for next 10-20 seconds, or otherwise we will move ahead. No worries. वो कैंटीन की चाय की पत्ती के साथ जो आती है, वो छोटे कप में चाय के साथ आता है ना यार, ऐसी नौकरी हो तो मजा आ जाए, है ना? वो वाला सीन आपको बताना है मैडम को.
प्रियंका.
No worries, ma'am. We can move ahead. That's okay. Once they go through, they will start getting those dreams. No worries.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely right, ma'am.
No worries. We can surely move ahead. So that's okay. But I'm going to ask you certain questions as well. So please be ready mentally as well. So when we talk about the best workplace practices, okay, जो बोलते हैं ना great workplace होना चाहिए. So there is one international level organization which is called Great Place to Work. And उनके हिसाब से the level of trust that employees experience in the leaders, the level of pride they have in their job, and the extent to which they enjoy their colleagues. So इसमें यहाँ पे 3 चीजों उन्होंने बहुत ही important बताई है. एक तो trust होना चाहिए leaders में, of course from a leadership perspective and also from the business perspective. The pride they have in their job, in the sense, मुझे मेरी जॉब में तब प्राइड होगा जब वो मेरा फाइनेंशियल, मेंटल, फिजिकल, स्पिरिचुअल हर तरीके से मेरी नेसेसिटी को पूरा करती होगी, and the extent to which they enjoy my colleagues, the way I have, my circle, my close around surroundings. So that is what they define that as a best workplace. So these are not the practices, okay, because once they get into those kind of practices, वो इंडस्ट्री में बेंचमार्क हो जाती है, वो उसमें एक गाइडलाइन सेट कर देती है कि दिस इज अ मिनिमम काइंड ऑफ थिंग, दिस इज अ गाइडलाइन, दिस इज अ वे टू ऑपरेट, दिस इज अ वे टू वर्क इन द बिजनेस, and that is how they set the example or benchmark in the industry. They create brand for the organization. हम आंख बंद करते हैं, हम सोचते हैं अरे मेरा माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में हो जाए तो, मेरा IBM में हो जाए तो, मेरा M&M में हो जाए तो बहुत अच्छा है. मेरा आरपीजी ग्रुप में हो जाए तो बहुत अच्छा है. सी, मेरा टाटा में हो जाए तो अच्छा है. इफ I'm going to get in some of those renowned names, you know. So this practices create a brand for the organization. मतलब पूरे पूरे country से, पूरे continent से, पूरे पूरे world से the talent wish to go and join those kind of organizations, and that surely meet as I shared the financial, mental, physical and emotional needs for all. Now it is very important, not only the finance but the psychological safety, the physical safety, the emotional safety, you know, everything is very important. Once you start growing in your career, you will understand. In the initial stage, finance is your and learning is your, these are the two things which you would like to address. But when you start growing, your psychological safety, once you start growing, your work life balance, your family safety, your emotional safety, you know, that will start growing as per the age. वो मैस्लो की हायरार्की आप देखते हो ना, हायरार्की ऑफ नीड्स, वो बिल्कुल उसी हिसाब से है. So that is how the best work practices are those which caters all the needs of the employees. And just to share, ये important क्यों है? अगर अभी किसी के ब्रेन ने फास्ट थोड़ा काम करना शुरू किया हो, मिगदला में से कुछ बाहर आया हो, you know, if somebody has started getting those vibes and if they would like to message to Neha ma'am, I will be very happy to listen these answers. So of course we will wait for 10 seconds, and as we are having short time and we have to cover many things.
Anybody?
Okay, let me just move ahead. Even if you get the answer later on, you can text to Neha ma'am. I'm absolutely fine. Neha ma'am, you may please post me or share it in between. I'm okay with that.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, friends, I'm asking this, why I'm posing this question, that those practices are not just for the sake of, you know, that creating a brand or putting as an image or it as a marketplace kind of thing. It has a great importance, and it of course fosters and sustains people, processes and profits. In turn, of course, it develops, it nurtures people, it strengthens the processes, and of course it creates and sustain as well as develop profits. Why some of the organizations are always in the growth mode, and why some of the organizations are always, you know, in that zigzag lines? Why some of them really sail through, even they could sail through it during the pandemic as well, rather they grew. And why some of the organizations they really sink through this, they could not sail through? Why? Because the foundation was not strong, and this foundation we are going to talk about today. And then this pandemic is a recent example. If you could go through, if you can google it, even if you can read some of the business magazines, you will of course understand that how few organizations really grew during this time. Of course the economic condition, the business conditions were of course different. However, when the foundation was strong, this kind of things matter a very little to the organization. So when you go through this slide, you will be able to see then this is one of the data source which I have got it through Gallup website. And if you see closely, 70% employees of organization, this is an average 200 and plus organization who have gone through the meta-analysis, and they have seen that closely 69-70% employees are either actively disengaged or not engaged, and only 30%, close to 30% employees are, you know, they are driving the boat. They are sitting in the same, but they are sailing in the different direction. Then you can surely understand that what would be the condition of the organization when there are 70% of the people who are completely in the different set of mindset, and the 30% who are trying to drive the organization. So and how this impact of either engaged or disengaged workforce, they are putting pressure on business KPIs. So if you see the turnover, the pink second lower second one, the turnover which has been highlighted, so it is the 45% turnover. And let me be honest about this. Of course, this I have gone through some of the research which Gallup has done, and that is from I have gone through and I have put here on the slide. But I myself is a witness of this kind of organization, and then turning the same organization into the GPTW ranks. So where the turnover is 45%, I hope you understand that if you see mathematically in 16 to 18 months, entire manpower strength gets changed. That means so. If you are hiring, say some I mean to say operator level people, say 150 around, then you can imagine 16 to 18 months the entire manpower strength. I have to change it, or that will get changed. They will lift the organization. The safety incidences, of course, are too high. Quality defects. Once once the products are approved from the factories, from the manufacturing team, by the manufacturing team, even though the customer are sending back the product saying these are the defected item, absenteeism too much. Okay. At the same time, when we talk about those very highly engaged or having a best practice workplaces, they have a great profitability, always increasing rather profitability, or either sustaining in case of the economic turmoils, very good productivity and a higher customer ratings. And let me be honest, as I shared, I'm an eyewitness of both the situation, and it is a complete turnaround, which Satish sir was telling that. Of course, I was one of that team member who has put in this kind of. I have seen and put in the efforts in turning around this kind of organization, and the organization is today. I would still say that's my dream organization, right? So when we talk about this. Best practices, okay, great organization, great place to work, then how this modern era is working in this direction. You are learning your theories right now. You must be in your field works, you must be going through your projects or summer internship, everything. So I assume, I understand that you must be having a kind of um, understanding and insight that how these industries are working nowadays, while especially in building the best practices, how this modern era is driving today. And especially I have seen this in this pandemic time. I was just reading yesterday's Times of India, and I just read, I think first or second page, Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. Okay, they have to really, the dean of the faculty had to write an apology letter to some 50 plus organization because all the students were placed in some 2 or 3 days, and there are 100 plus students. So why these things are very important in this today's time. And why it is so important for the HR professional to keep their learning in the consistently this direction, because it's a time of talent crunch. हम इंडस्ट्री की क्या बात करते हैं, हमें अगर घर में भी अगर कोई एक या हमारे छोटे से सेटअप में भी कोई एक अच्छा टैलेंटेड बंदा चाहिए होता है, वी रियली स्ट्रगल फॉर दैट. think about those industry whom you are going to get placed, and you are being asked by your manager to go and look for some 30 people or 40 people or 20 GTs. How will you place your organization, or what are those, those selling points, those high notes where students are willingly or overwhelmingly wish to join your organization? And that is why it is extremely important. So if there are meet, there is ET competitions are happening. There are multiple surveys are happening, but I have knowingly kept it here. 3 renowned organizations who are into this. Of course, my personal thing is Great Place to Work thing, because it has its own comprehensive model. I would say this is what my understanding is. Gallup is also very renowned and respectable brand. McKinsey as such. So McKinsey, no need to say, we need not to market, because it itself is a good brand, great brand rather. So these are the renowned companies. They conduct engagement and best workplace practices surveys, and they produce the results geographic wise, and this help them to attract, retain, and of course develop the talent. I shared GBIMS placement. You may refer yesterday's Times of India. And when you are into, of course, GPTW, your organization is named around or named into that list. There's a strong brand pride and place in the market. You need not to go and look for the talent available in the market. They themselves wish to come and join your organization. So that is how it differs. So I would like to first share a brief about the Gallup, then McKinsey, and lastly GPTW, and then we will talk about the case studies. So Gallup has mainly the Q12 questions, which is known Q12 key areas as such, and these questions are built around this 4 elements. So one is a basic need, second is an individual contribution, third is a teamwork, and fourth is a growth. Okay. So when we talk about the first basic needs, it's talk about what kind of equipments, materials I have, what are the expectations of me at the workplace. So that is mainly the resources available at your workplace, and secondly your role clarity kind of thing, that is, and expectations by the management or from your manager to you. So that is what is generally covered. These are the 2 things which are covered in the key area 1. When we talk about key area 2, this is individual contribution, that how am I getting the self-development, what is my recognition, what kind of care and workplace recognition I am getting. When I talk about the teamwork, of course, that talks about the entire organization framework, the mission, the purpose of the organization, how important my opinion or my suggestion matter to the organization, or what kind of community, what kind of colleagues, what kind of surroundings do I have. And surrounding does not mean only the physical one that I have already shared in the key area 1. This is surrounding means the kind of colleague, the kind of team I have been working with. So there is one proverb that the man is known by the friends he belong to. Okay, so here the team matters a lot, and it is extremely important, because if you have a toxic work culture, so I was reading one of the article on LinkedIn that it is right now going greatly, or going having a very highest read, I would say, that if an employee leaves the organization for salary, there is a possibility that person will come back. Okay, but if the employee leave the organization because of culture, there is a very thin possibility that he or she will return or come back to the organization. And there is how the surrounding or the kind of community matters a lot. Okay, when we talk about the growth, of course, what is my opportunity? What kind of learning opportunity or growth opportunity do I have at my workplace? And these are the some 12 questions based on which they find the great place work practices, and they put their rankings, and they declare the organization. Well, when I talk about the McKinsey, the way Gallup has a 4 baselines or elements, McKinsey is working on 9 key elements. The one is a social experience. Social, of course, the people in relationship at the organization. How am I being treated, or what is my contribution? Teamwork and social climate, I have already talked about. The belongingness or the surrounding, I have already shared. The work experience, that is the second part of the key area, that is work organization, work control, and flexibility, which I just shared. This work life balance, growth and rewards, what kind of opportunities and incentives I'm getting. I tell you one very very important, very interesting thing. Okay, in Europe, there the recently one survey has happened. I forgot the website, and a very surprising result came that many people in the region, they just left the job to have a work life balance. And the pandemic taught them, or they understood, or they realized that my work is not the only place in my life. I need to have that balance of my personal and professional life. And how progressive is your organization to provide this work life balance, to the employees? And this work from home, where the calls and those meetings are never ending. Till 5 o'clock you have calls and meetings, and after 5 o'clock you start working. So there is no cut off. रुकना कहाँ है पता नहीं है. Okay, so in that case, what kind of work experience I am giving or I am creating for my workplaces? I know one organization where when the deep dive session happened, जो उनका पहले साल engagement survey हुआ था, और वहाँ पे जब सर्वे का रिजल्ट इतना भयानक था कि हेड ऑफिस से, कॉर्पोरेट से सीनियर टीम आ गई, जो वीपी और जीएम जो लोग थे, लीडरशिप टीम थे, वो लोग आ गए. बिकॉज द लाइन मैनेजर्स, मतलब जो आपके ऑपरेटर्स होते हैं, उनके बिल्कुल ऊपर के लोग जो लाइन मैनेजर्स है, असिस्टेंट मैनेजर, मैनेजर्स, उन्होंने बड़ी ब्लंटली बताया कि सर हमको पता ही नहीं है कि हमारा फोन कब बंद रहता है. रात को 2 बजे भी फोन आ गया कि मशीन बंद हो गया है, आ जाओ. एंड एचआर वो एकदम खड़े पग तैयार रहता है, एकदम बिल्कुल तैयार रहता है कि अच्छा फोन आ गया, गाड़ी भेजना है, गाड़ी भेज दिया. 2 गाड़ी उन्होंने बुक करके रखी हुई है. कोई भी डिपार्टमेंट हेड बोलता है तो ये बंदे को घर पे लेकर, घर से पिकअप करके उसको कंपनी पे छोड़ के आना है. रात को 2 बजे, 3 बजे, 4 बजे मशीन में ब्रेक डाउन आया तो खत्म हो गया. आना है इंसान को. मतलब my family is disturbed, my children are disturbed, I am physically, I'm having a great fatigue, I am not able to balance between my personal and professional life. So what kind of workplace experience are you creating? You are having a talent and not the slaves. The third part, the key element, is the organization experience. What is the purpose of the organization? How you are connecting with that greater purpose? Your team, how it is connected with that. The technology, okay? How enabling your technology to smoothen the human lives. At the same time, they are learning through that. What kind of physical environment are you able to provide? What kind of comfort are you able to share? Some of the organization, like during this pandemic, they just send those cozy chairs and those tables and some those kind of comforts to employees when they were working from home. So what kind of physical environment you are creating for that employee? So these are the 9 elements and 3 key areas for the McKinsey. While I am going to talk about in the next slides about this GPTW, this is the trust model of Great Place to Work. If you happen to Google it out, I have written the source here, the Trust Philosophy doc, which is widely available or very easily available on Google. Please go and refer it. I was fortunate enough to refer this when I have partnered in this entire journey. But this is a trust philosophy which GPTW is driving. So for any employee, the trust is at the center, no? And the employee, what is my relationship with other employees? What kind of camaraderie am I sharing with my team? And what kind of relationship do I have with my job? As I shared ना, pride क्या है? कई बार आप देखोगे ना तो बंदे को ये नहीं बोला जाता कि वो मैनेजर है, सीनियर मैनेजर है, डिपार्टमेंट हेड है या वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है. बोलते वो ना C8 में काम करती थी ये लेडी. शी वॉज वर्किंग इन फ्लिंट. और आपकी सोसाइटी में, आपकी कॉलोनी में, आपके आसपास के लोग जो कम्युनिटी है उसमें भी आपको पता होगा कि ये अंकल ना L&T में काम करते हैं या C8 में काम करते हैं, या दिस पर्सन इज वर्किंग इन टाटा ग्रुप, और दिस पर्सन इज वर्किंग इन Zydus, दिस पर्सन इज वर्किंग इन XYZ, I mean to say. So you would know the person by the name of the company, and that is where I feel the pride. And what kind of relationship I'm sharing with the management, that is how credibility, fairness, and respect, these are the three segments which have been created. So I will just take here the base of the GPTW survey, and then we'll move ahead. So first, when we talk about the values, okay, if you see in the center, so the purpose of the GPTW is, of course, the trust is the one factor which is in the bottom. It's a foundation, and how based on this the human potentials are maximized. With that objective, they have built around certain elements, like one is a value. What kind of value do I experience? वो value चिट्ठी पे लिख कर नहीं आता है, You go to any organization and you can see आप reception पे खड़े होते हो ना, एक बहुत बड़ा सा बोर्ड लगाया होता है, these are my company's value. But are the leaders actually living through these values? Is there a walk on the same path? Are they having, या फिर जो बोलते हैं उससे बिल्कुल ही विपरीत दिशा में काम करते हैं, बिल्कुल ही 180 डिग्री का उनका बिहेवियर है. I just shared one of my experience. I have been coaching one of the leadership team of a very renowned organization, and what I experienced is very different than what the value system they have written on on the boards of those organizations. And then of course it is going to create issues for the organization. वो कभी भी वो बोलते हैं ना कि वैल्यू कभी बॉटम से ऊपर नहीं जाता है, वो हमेशा टॉप डाउन होता है. बच्चे हमेशा पेरेंट्स की कॉपी करते हैं. there is a observation and there is a replication. So that is what similar in terms of values as well. What kind of leadership excellence or effectiveness do I have? Leader shop floor se pass hota hai, he doesn't look at anybody, or she doesn't look at anybody. She doesn't greet even anybody. Oh, I'm a head of the organization, or I'm a vice president of the organization, and what does it happen? The person really does not get the truth of the shop floor or the working place. Forget about shop floor, any working place. How connected you are to the bottommost person in your organization, and that gives you the true picture. How emotionally you are connected with your employees, how truly you are connected with them. What kind of business acumen, the strategy are you able to build around, and which is going to build the organization in future. So that is what the excellence in leadership quality. When we talk about the maximizing human potential, and these are the two things which at the bottom, the trust, the values, and leadership excellence, that is of course going to build around how am I going to provide or create opportunity for my employees to maximize their potentials. And once you start building, of course, that, okay, using this innovations, continuous improvement, and those are the small improvement. As innovation does not mean वो सिर्फ lab में होता है, वो R&D में होता है, बिल्कुल नहीं होता है ऐसा. Innovation, they happen maximum by those people who are working, my experience, on the shop floor. They connect best with the business. हमें ऐसा लगता है कभी कभी कि they are hardly ITI, they are hardly diplomas, they are hardly 10th pass or 12th pass. What would they know? They are highly BScs. No, because the person who is daily seeing this products, daily working on that, the person has the maximum ability to have an improvement in that. And those are the small but continuous improvement, and which drives the organization. And it's not just for the manufacturing setup, it could be any setup, it could be financial setup, it could be IT setup, any setup, even the trading organizations. Okay, so that drives the continuous improvement, quick adaptability. Pandemic aa gaya, how fast am I able to adapt to the new way of working? How am I able to quickly switch to the new practices, new normals? Okay, create opportunities by tapping the intelligence, skills, and passion of the employees. And of course, financial growth. That's हम कोई साधु महात्मा तो है नहीं, मतलब फाइनेंस तो चाहिए ना, घर चलाना है. Everybody needs to work on that, and that is the ultimate outcome of the great workplaces. ये सब अगर होता है ना बॉटम में, तो आपको फाइनेंस के बारे में सोचने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. I was reading one article on LinkedIn. You can also Google it. IBM was having some business challenges a couple of years back, and they hired one gentleman, Joe. I would say you may please LinkedIn through or Google it out. And the person, he started building the best workplaces practices. The stock prices did not outshine immediately. It took good time, क्योंकि फाउंडेशन बनाने में वक्त लगता है. आप किसी बिल्डिंग भी बनती है ना, तो उसका फाउंडेशन बनाने में मैक्सिमम टाइम लगता है, बिल्डर भी बोलेगा. बट वंस द फाउंडेशन इज लेड डाउन, उसके ऊपर जो फिर बिल्डिंग्स बनती है ना, वो सिर्फ कॉलम्स ही लगते हैं एक के ऊपर दूसरा. And IBM is still sustaining. I don't want to name the other organization which had a very difficult time. वो वॉलिश करके आए और अब एकदम नैस्डैक में उनका शेयर एकदम बूम से बढ़ गया प्राइस, but they could not sustain. So these are the real examples. These are the real examples that how best workplace practices or great place to work practices, they actually creates profits and great culture. How it's going to have an impact? I was just talking about that. So let me just share you a story. But this is not वो परियों वाला story नहीं है. This is an actual story which took a place, which took a birth 2009-10, and I have partnered in this. I was part of this story, and that is where I would like to share you here. Excuse me, Neha ma'am, I think we have some 15-20 minutes more.
Yeah, ma'am. As we still have 15 minutes,
Fine, no
so
worries.
for 5 minutes we need to have some question round
Sure.
session, and for 1 minute we will be having vote of thanks. So we have only 10 minutes as of now.
No worries, worries. Fine. We'll
Okay.
close it by then. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you. So, how does people initiatives have created a business success? So I'm going to talk about my loved organization, CET. Of course, the data which I have in my brain, I may not be able to share the entire business things. Those are the confidential ones, and I cannot. Of course, I have left the organization many years back, but um, I mean to say on an ethical ground also I should not, but I will take you through the entire part. So when in 2009, the organization, it's a part of RPG group of company, which is a conglomerate. They have 8+ organization like KEC, RIC MRPG, CET, then there are many more organizations, and of course they are into IT. They are into this tea and rubber business as well. HML, that is their one of the brand. So when they started with their radial plant, okay, that was a fast radial plant which CET wished to establish at Halol. And they have built with this vision that we will have a lean structure, okay, we'll have a diversity, we'll have a knowledge workforce and empowerment. सबसे फास्टेस्ट सेटअप करना है, वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस करना है. सुपरवाइजरी रेशियो इंडस्ट्री में आपका एटलीस्ट रहता है, which is around 12 to 14 पे one supervisor रहता है. That was an organization when I was working. We thought of that we will create the leaders from the shop floor and they will drive the entire production, quality, maintenance, everything. I'm going to say entire operations they will drive. The diversity, first tier company CET where they have introduced women, girls on the shop floor. एक टायर अगर आप पीसीआर का देखने जाओ तो मिनिमम 6-7 किलो के आसपास होता है, और टीबीआर का तो इट इज टू हाई. ट्रक बस रेडियल जो बोलते हैं ना, ट्रक्स और बस का. And CET thought of having a women on the shop floor working in 2 shifts, A and B shift. Later on, we also introduced C shift. Night shift में लड़कियां काम करती हैं, but that's a different process altogether. And we were the first organization to have a female on machine in tire industry. No, हम लोग diploma engineers को लेकर आएंगे, and it is difficult. Ultimately, they are engineers. Driving them, it's itself is a challenge. Empowering them that they will take their own machine related or operation related decision. And those are the real difficult things. हमने बहुत अच्छे प्रोसेस पहले ही दिन से बनाए कि हम फ्रेश डिप्लोमा लेकर आएंगे, हम उनको 90 डेज का 3 महीने हम उनको बिठा के सिर्फ समझाएंगे. फ्रेश है तो उनको समझाएंगे कि टायर क्या होता है, प्रोडक्शन क्या होता है, क्वालिटी क्या, मेंटेनेंस क्या, हर चीज समझाएंगे. 20-25 दिन थ्योरी समझाएंगे, बाकी के 40 दिन हमको शॉप फ्लोर पे ले जाएंगे, फिर उनका टेस्ट करेंगे, उनको कितना आता है, किसी को नहीं आता है तो वापस फिर से पढ़ाएंगे. So there were we had a great kind of induction training. हम उनके साथ बहुत अच्छा कम्युनिकेशन करते थे, उनको रिवॉर्ड देते थे, सब कुछ करते थे. सब एम्प्लॉय के लिए बेनिफिट सब सेम थे. जो हम बोलते हैं ना कि जिस कैंटीन में वाइस प्रेसिडेंट या जीएम खाना खाते हैं वही कैंटीन में मेरे एसोसिएट लड़के भी खाना खाते थे. सो देयर वाज नो डिफरेंशिएशन नहीं है. बेनिफिट अच्छे हैं, बंदा अपना खुद का डिसीजन खुद लेता है, ट्रेनिंग अच्छा करवाता है, रिवॉर्ड देते हैं. उसके बाद भी these are the just repetition of or in detail of the last slide, so I'm just keeping this. हमें ऐसा लगा, हम एचआर होते हैं ना, we are many a times in our own fantasy world. हमें ऐसा लगा, oh great, they must be feeling valued about it, But when we went through our first engagement survey, that was the lowest engagement we could ever had. It was hardly 41-42%. And it was an eye-opening data for all of us. The attrition, I'm talking about 2011, it was more than 40%. जो मैंने आपको फर्स्ट स्लाइड में बताया ना 45%, I have seen 44% attrition. मतलब मैं रोज नई रिक्रूटमेंट के लिए एक टीम को भेजती हूँ, एक टीम को बोलती हूँ भैया तो इतने लोगों के फुल एंड फाइनल बना दे. मतलब हाथ में कोई चिट्ठी लेकर आया है तो कोई और डिमांड नहीं होगी, कुछ भी नहीं होगा, बस मैं क्विट कर रही हूँ या मैं क्विट कर रहा हूँ. That kind of attrition we have seen. The ramp up of the plant was too bad. We had installed capacity of 150 metric ton per day. We were hardly at 48. मतलब आपने पैसा पूरा डाला है कंपनी में, 600-700 करोड़ डाला है आपने, लेकिन उसमें से निकल कुछ भी नहीं रहा है. लोगों की सैलरी भी करवानी उस टाइम पे, मतलब we were taking out the money from the pocket. And based on that feedback, based on these results, we really analyze the thing कि हम लोग कहाँ पे क्या गलत कर रहे हैं. हमने बेंचमार्क किया इंडस्ट्री बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस का, हमने हमारी लीडरशिप जो होती है और मैनेजमेंट कमेटी है उनसे फीडबैक लिया, एंड वी हैव गॉन टू द फील्ड, वी हैव टॉक टू ऑल अवर एसोसिएट, टुक देयर फीडबैक, एंड इट वाज आई ओपनर. हम बोलते थे प्रोडक्शन के मैनेजर को कि आपके एरिया से 2-3 लड़कों को भेज देना, तो सब कुछ मिला के 20-25 बच्चे आ जाएंगे कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम में. And it was amazing when we saw that plus 50 associates are in the conference room. Chairs कम है तो लोग खड़े हैं, but they wanted to give us a feedback. These are our pain points. आप हमें ट्रेनिंग दे रहे हो, रिवॉर्ड दे रहे हो, कुडोज दे रहे हो, कैंटीन अच्छी दे रहे हो, फैसिलिटी सब दे रहे हो, we are not happy. And we just try to understand from them. When we saw the data, when we benchmarked, we could understand that where we were lagging in terms of our benefits. When we talked to leadership, उन्होंने clearly बोला, strengthen your recruitment. When we talk to the associates, could you imagine one employee is coming and sharing that I am not happy with my washrooms. We are not being treated respectfully at the shop floor. कॉन्फ्रेंस में बात करना अलग है. हमें ऐसा लगता है आपने हमें एक बार ट्रेनिंग करवा के अंदर भेज दिया, फिर हम रोज वही काम करते रहते हैं. बट व्हाट अबाउट अवर ओन कंटिन्यूअस लर्निंग? मैं एक डिप्लोमा इंजीनियर हूँ, मुझे ग्रो करना है लाइफ में, मेरी करियर क्या है, यू नो. सो दोज आर द थिंग्स केम टू अस. आप हमसे कम्युनिकेट कब करते हो? 1 महीने में, 2 महीने में एक बार ओपन हाउस होता है, खत्म हो गया, वन साइडेड कम्युनिकेशन होता है, खत्म. बट वी हैव अवर ओन थिंग्स टू शेयर, वी हैव स्मॉल इश्यूज टू शेयर. हम कहाँ पे जाके बताएं? And there were I mean to say there were lots of things came up to us. And based on all those feedback, we started developing a comprehensive model for connecting employees and build around this great place to work practices. We worked towards a career and compensation and benefit. उनका career develop करना है. कैसे किया? So हम लोग जो असिस्टेंट मैनेजर, हम बहुत ही लीन लेयर है जो मैंने पहले बताया था कि शॉप फ्लोर पे हमारे एसोसिएट है, उसके बाद इमीडिएटली असिस्टेंट मैनेजर है. हमने सारी असिस्टेंट मैनेजर की रिक्रूटमेंट बाहर से बंद कर ली. What we started doing, we started developing those associates who are operating machine, and they were talented, they are talented employees. We identified them. हमने हमारी असिस्टेंट मैनेजर की जो पोजीशंस थी वहीं से भरनी शुरू कर दी. We had assessment center, we had of course their track records checking, and we started building those associates as assistant manager. और आज की तारीख में I can very proudly say, अभी वहाँ पे मैनेजर्स की भी ना रिक्रूटमेंट नहीं होती है, ऑलमोस्ट नहीं होती है. Those assistant managers, now they are promoted, they are developed as a manager. उनका कंपनसेशन और बेनिफिट पे काम किया. कम्युनिकेशन जो वन साइडेड था, उनको दो साइड्स पे, मतलब बोथ द वेज communication started. We started hearing them as well. We started jotting down their grievance as well. फन एट वर्क वो बर्थडे सेलिब्रेशन सिर्फ नहीं होता है. देयर इज द कंटिन्यूअस इवेंट इन स्पोर्ट्स, सेलिब्रेशंस, सक्सेस इज सेलिब्रेशन, या कोई भी दोस फेस्टिवल सेलिब्रेशन. ओके, दैट इज वन पीस वी जस्ट स्टार्टेड हैविंग. एंगेजमेंट वो सिर्फ बर्थडे और केक कटिंग नहीं होता है. देयर इज मच मोर थिंग्स walking towards it, empowering in a true sense, asking them to take the decision. Skill enhancement, we developed a skill model. और जहां पे बंदा अगर आज लेवल 1 पे है तो उसको लेवल 2 पे कैसे जाएगा, 3 पे कैसे जाएगा, 4 पे कैसे जाएगा, और 4th लेवल पे चला गया, देन वी विल इवैल्यूएट, एंड इफ यू हैव अ पोजीशन द पर्सन विल गो एंड गेट द असिस्टेंट मैनेजर पोजीशन. Started having the transparent feedback and evaluation processes for them, performance management system. We started have this grievance management system called Bol Bindas for them. They can put their grievance anytime, either in a physical or online format. And we used to track, सिर्फ grievance डालना नहीं है, HR track करता था कि हमने कितने क्लोजर किए इसमें से. Performance management system I have already shared. So what has been achieved? My attrition was 44, which went down to 11.7%. My engagement was 41. Today, even if you go and Google about C8, it is in, I think, top 25 or 50 organizations of India as a best place to work. Great place to work. Plant tonnage, जो मैंने बताया, जो sync कर रहा था, we started working in those days at 82% efficiency. आज तो उस प्लांट का बहुत ही एक्सपेंशन हो गया है. माई इन्वेंट्री ऑन हैंड विच वॉज 52, नाउ इट इज 44, विच इज एक्चुअली अ कैश. योर इन्वेंट्री is a cash. In this data, 44 is too old, but I understand that it must be reduced by then. Conversion cost, we have reduced some 10.5% reduction in the manufacturing cost, and which is a big thing. So I was actually expecting that the presentation will go a little long. So I'm putting this link in the chat box. You may please copy down, and that is how you may go through this article on HBR. What is the role of an HR in this entire, in this entire frame? We are not just recruiters. We are not just salary makers. आप देखते हो जो कंसल्टेंट्स होते हैं, रिक्रूटमेंट कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स होती है ना, वहां पे बीकॉम, बीएससी, मतलब सिंपल ग्रेजुएट्स जो बच्चे होते हैं वो लोग काम करते हैं. तो अगर रिक्रूटमेंट के लिए मैं अगर बीकॉम से चला सकती हूँ, तो मुझे एमएसडब्ल्यू और एमएचआरएम क्यों चाहिए? मैं क्यों उनको इतना हाई पैकेज दूं? अगर एक अकाउंट का बंदा पेरोल रन कर सकता है, देन व्हाई डू आई नीड एन एचआर प्रोफेशनल? ट्रेनिंग सिर्फ कोऑर्डिनेशन को एक जूनियर लड़का भी मेरा कर लेता था उस टाइम पे. मैं तो आईटीआई से, बिकॉज दोस टाइम आई हैड अ क्रंच ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, स्पेशली इन मैन पावर. देन वी स्टार्टेड बिल्डिंग द टीम. लेकिन आईटीआई लड़का भी एक कोऑर्डिनेशन कर लेता है, तो व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ एन एचआर पर्सन? We are not those yes men puppets of the business, and that is what I would like to share at the last. My suggestion to each one of you: just don't go through this कि हाँ मैं रिक्रूटमेंट कर लूंगी, या मैं पेरोल रन कर लूंगा, या तो फिर मैं ट्रेनिंग कोऑर्डिनेशन कर लूंगी. No, that is not our role. We have to play a much stronger role. And that is where I would suggest each one of you to go through this link. I'm just putting that in the chat box, and you may please copy and go through this. So this is your homework. Fine. So of course, Neha ma'am, I think I have taken through 2-3 minutes more, but if they have any question and answer, so they can please ask.
Yes, ma'am.
May I have your permission to close sharing this screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can close it.
Thank you.
By your end, you can do it. Yes. Just a moment, ma'am. Just a moment, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes, Neha, ma'am.
ma'am, there is one question in a chat box I'll share with you. Uh, During COVID, what kind of practices can be used to motivate the employees?
Yeah. So, may I please, Neha, ma'am, something else
Yes,
would you like to?
yes,
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah.
So, hi, Shruti. Thank you for posting the question. See, COVID, if you talk about today, people are, like used to COVID. They have started um, accepting COVID as a new normal. But during that time, uh, some of the practices which industries began and which are still continuing. Okay, so I would say when people started working from home, organizations started sharing or giving them resources for physical comfort. That was a one thing. It was a really very difficult time where people emotionally were disturbed, and they were really struggling on a physical and mental health for themselves and their loved ones. And there is where the counseling events has been extended by organizations to the employees. I know some of the organizations जिन्होंने अपनी employees की just to ensure that financially they are not suffer. They're a really good organization. They did not go for those cost cutting or salary cuts or something. Some of the organizations who were really in a difficult time, they have gone through the difficult, they have experienced those financial crunch and difficulties. But I know some great organizations who have supported. I know an organization where they could see that even my medical or my health insurance, how they are supporting my employees, and they have extended the coverage part. So, to meet their physical needs, to meet their mental need, to meet their emotional need, organizations have worked in this some of the built of the practices. And when I'm talking about the financial part, it's not only the employees. I know some of the really great companies. They just took COVID as an opportunity. Uh, I mean to say they in a very negative sense. The I would not like to share, but something like some great organizations, they even did not kept waiting their vendors. Well, some of the really I would not say bad places, but of course some organization, they need to still build on their practices. They kept their employees crying, and few of them, they did not kept their even vendors waiting. They paid off them on time. So the great place is, it's not only connected with employees. It talks about the community. It talks about the entire the surrounding part, either their vendors, their customers, the community where they are belong to, their employees, everybody. So it's a mindset. I would say building these practices is very important, of course. But it also talk about the mindset through which we are operating. So I hope I have questioned your. I have answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Shruti.
Anybody else? Let me check the chat box. Okay. No questions now, ma'am.
Yeah.
We don't have any questions as of now. So, on behalf of Parul University, Faculty of Social Work, I, Assistant Professor Neha Dubey, is pleased to give you vote of thanks, ma'am. Today I'm not well, so my voice might be cracking whenever when it is coming to you or to these students. I'm not able to speak, but
That's okay.
as it was like today's program webinar was like organized by me, so I'm not able to share many of the good words, good thought, which I actually do for the people who give webinar and who come to the speakers to the department. So I apology for that. But again, I'm really very much honored that you took time for all the students and for faculties. We will look forward to have more sessions like that, and that will be a offline mode, because I believe offline mode is more pleasing and convincing for students, because they see live to the faculty, the speaker, the expert. So they are more comfortable in asking questions, and rather more is like, the speaker is also more comfortable in that the way, because they understand the facial expressions. With their experience, they know what is going in the student's mind, what they want to ask actually. So we will definitely have a offline mode, one sessions with you, and there will be a crowd of number of students will be there in that session. We will really have fun, and this was again very much amazing and nice session, as you have discussed many of the best practices of number of companies. So ma'am, thank you so much for being available for us, for the students, for the faculty. Thank you so much.
My pleasure as well, Neha ma'am. And don't apologize, because I think you have done a great job. And thank you very much for the invitation and conducting this program so well. Great.
Thank, thank you so much. You were always being humble with me. I can read the messages which you send me, so that shows that you are so humble. So that is the big personality are actually. वो कहते हैं ना, हिंदी में कहते हैं कि जो पेड़ पे बहुत ज्यादा फल लगे होते हैं ना, वो झुका हुआ होता है. So that is what the approach,
Pleasure.
approach I found in all the messages, and the way you were replying and the way you were talking to me. So that is actually a big personality can only do that. So I'm meeting in this way, but I would definitely love to see you offline and physically, ma'am. Someday you please take a time and come to faculty. We would be honored again. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. And all the students, thank you very much. I understand, Shruti, your question was too good. Keep building, you all of you, please keep building yourself as a professional and do justice to our profession. So thank you very much, and wish you all a great luck. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you again. Yeah, all can leave now. Thank you.